I'm Steve Devine. It's been a while since we've given you an update on how the Devine team have been handling the COVID situation. Frustratingly, I wish I was communicating something a little bit more positive, but unfortunately the situation across metropolitan Sydney has rapidly changed in recent days. So I'll do my best to keep you up to speed of how we're handling the latest changes. There's a constant moving target, and as of this evening, the 28th of June 2021, this is what we believe is the case. In many ways, we've been there and done that. It's a bit like deja vu from early last year when we were thrust into lockdown. Back then, we adapted quickly and we were able to sell and lease properties, be it in a much more restricted capacity. We've learnt from those experiences and we're very, very confident that we'll handle the situation in an even more effective manner. I'm shortly going to be talking about what restrictions are in place when it comes to the sale or lease of your property and how Devine are working within this framework to get your property sold or leased. What changes have evolved over the last year in relation to tenancy matters from our regulatory bodies, Fair Trading and NCAT. And finally, what's the real estate market for sales and rentals done across the inner west and where's it likely to go? So let's kick off with the restrictions that we have to work within. Yesterday and again today, I attended an update from our industry body, the Real Estate Institute of New South Wales. They've been working closely with New South Wales Health and our regulator, Fair Trading, to navigate the nuances of the public health orders and the practicalities of how we have to work with them within our industry. The importance of housing can't be understated, and the government, health officials and Fair Trading understand that accommodation is an essential service and practical solutions and measures need to be in place. Despite open houses and live auctions being put on hold currently until Friday the 9th of July, we are still able to show properties undertaking stricter COVID protocols. Utilising a 4 square metre rule, we are able to show properties through on a one-on-one basis after you've satisfactorily answered questions pertaining to your COVID situation, and all parties inspecting must wear masks. Our Devine team will be providing hand sanitizer and only again one-on-one buyers. So if you're a couple and you're wanting to inspect a property, one of you only will be able to look at a time, the other can hang out in the car, do a swap over, and we're happy to get the other party through. So there is certainly practical ways you can look at a property. We have the ability to transition scheduled on-site auctions into online auctions in coming weeks. Devine were very successful last year, and we can't see why this shouldn't be even more successful given we are in generally a much stronger market than we were a year ago. It's been mentioned to me how inspecting a property from a buyer or a tenant is permitted, given on the surface there, the government's saying there's only 5 permissible reasons to leave home. That's being travel to work or school or uni, grocery shopping, medical and exercise. Notwithstanding, clause 9.39 of the Public Health Order states that a person can leave their home to view or inspect property for sale or lease. Look, the health department sees that inspecting properties is an essential service. We all need a roof over our head, and subject to these new protocols, COVID protocols, it certainly is permitted. Moving on to the updates of changes that have happened in the last 12 months, legislatively wise. When we went into lockdown a year ago, you probably recall the state government enacted fairly quickly emergency legislation giving greater rights to tenants who were genuinely impacted by COVID. These changes, to a large extent, are no longer relevant. One of the more contentious parts of the emergency legislation was the moratorium on terminating tenancies where an impacted tenant was more than 14 days in arrears. The moratorium on tenancy evictions ended on the 26th of March this year, meaning we can now issue termination notices to tenants who have fallen behind more than 14 days for arrears. That's been accumulated after the 26th of March this year. Any tenant that was affected by COVID and have accumulated rent arrears before the 26th of March are still protected, meaning that landlords cannot issue the termination notice and they can't basically put the tenants on tenancy databases to warn other people that they're being recalcitrant. It is important to point out that tenants that were affected by COVID must be able to prove that their income was affected by more than 25%. They're on a payment plan to get rid of those arrears, and any tenant not on that payment plan won't agree to one or can't provide evidence can still be evicted. That being said, all those measures in place, I'm very proud of our property managers. Our cases of recalcitrant tenants who went bad was actually significantly less than what we would have expected in any other normal situation. So again, a big shout out to the amazing team, property managers at Devine who've done an outstanding job navigating the many challenges COVID has thrown up in the last year as the government constantly changes the goalposts on us. And I equally want to thank you. Genuinely, many of our clients who've shown amazing understanding, generosity, and compassion throughout these COVID challenges. Another change that I think we need to update you on, you need to be aware of, pertains to the ban of pets in strata schemes, which came in October last year when the New South Wales Court of Appeal handed down a landmark decision ruling that a bylaw that imposed a blanket ban on pets in strata schemes was actually unenforceable. There's been many instances where that ban can still be upheld if reasonable grounds still exist, but it is becoming more and more difficult, and certainly owners, corporations can't withhold consent unreasonably. And whilst on the surface this may appear unreasonable, from a practical perspective, we're finding the vast majority of cases where strata schemes are allowing pets and landlords are open to consenting to pets, that the property certainly does become a lot more appealing, and the benefits our owners are getting are far outweighing the risks that equally can be mitigated. Look, we naturally monitor and are very vigilant in our routine inspections, and we continue to keep our finger on the pulse to look after the best interests of our clients, because at the end of the day, the owner at present still has the right to say no regarding pets, but the benefits we're finding are far outweighing the downside. Which leads to our final part of our chat, which is where is the market at? And the media has certainly well documented the meteoric rise of the property prices in the last 12 months, and this has especially been seen in the house market. Despite this media hype, the apartment market in general terms generally is lagging behind with very little sales growth experienced. The rental market is a real dichotomy across the inner west in two segments. The first segment is the house market. There continues to be generally very strong demand. People working from home now appreciate the benefits of having a yard and a bit more space, and as we spoke about, pets seem to be becoming the latest accessory, and that doesn't appear to be slowing. And with this latest rounds of lockdown, we are expecting demands on houses to continue to be heightened. On the flip side though, I wish I could say the same about the unit segment. This has really been to a large extent decimated. The taps are being turned off to overseas students. Immigration has effectively been turned off, together with a mass oversupply of new apartments hitting many parts of the inner west. This is all combined to see rents in this segment fall by as much as 30%. Rents will only come back to pre-COVID levels effectively when our international borders do get opened up, and this is only likely to happen when the immunisation program is fully rolled out to the vast majority of the Australian population. So do yourself, the country and the rental market a favour, and please go and get the jab. We'll continue to keep our finger on the pulse as the evolving situation develops, and we're only a phone call away, a text message away, and we're more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. My email is at the bottom, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have and assist where possible. For those of you stuck at home in the school holidays with kids, my heart goes out to you. Just remember, we're less than 2 weeks away from getting out of lockdown at this stage. So until next time, take care and stay safe.